Worker safety organizations continue to be underfunded. In fiscal year 2024, OSHA had only one inspector for every 85,000 workers.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Last Week in Southern Labor is a segment that we do every week where we take a look at what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to. Here's what they were up to from April 18th to the 25th. In new union campaigns, workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the union representing 12 workers at Restaurant Technologies in Dallas, Texas. The union is unnamed on the NLRB website. 5 workers at David Taylor Ellisville Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Ellisville, Missouri, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAMAW District Lodge 9. 36 workers at Compass Behavioral Group in Midlothian, Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the ABA Workers Union, an independent union for workers in the applied behavioral analysis field. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the IAMAW Local Lodge 2947 as the union representing 2 workers at the Delaware Resource Group of Oklahoma in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 17 workers at Republic Services in Churchill, Tennessee, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters Local 519. 208 workers at the Washington Post in Washington, D.C. filed a petition to hold a union election with the News Guild CWA. 23 workers at AGL Services Company in Atlanta, Georgia filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW. 118 workers at Breakthrough Beverage, Missouri in St. Louis, Missouri filed a petition to hold a union election with the Liquor and Wine Sales Representatives Union Local 3. The IAMAW is attempting to raid a unit of 8 workers at Neil R. Gross & Company in Washington, D.C., who are currently represented by Court Reporters United. In election results, 2 workers at the Wood County Electric Cooperative in Quitman, Texas, voted 2-0 in favor of unionization with the IBEW Local 728. Another unit of 4 at the same company won a union election only 2 weeks ago, also unanimous. 18 workers at Siemens Industry in Fort Worth, Texas, voted 14-3. in favor of unionization with the IBEW Local 220. 96 workers at Nelson Tree Service in Pikeville, Kentucky, voted 30-49 against unionization with IBEW Local 369. 26 workers at Entergy in Jackson, Mississippi, voted 14-8 in favor of unionization with IBEW Local 605. And workers for Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits in 3 different work groups in El Paso and Fort Worth, Texas, joined the Teamsters, Local 745, in one day. In grievances, unfair labor practices, and court cases, a U.S. District Court in D.C. issued a preliminary injunction against the Trump administration's illegal revocation of collective bargaining rights for federal workers. Every year, the National Council on Occupational Safety and Health, NCOSH, releases a Dirty Dozen report highlighting companies that fail to protect workers on the job, with NCOSH saying this leads to preventable injuries, illnesses, and deaths. This year, of the 12 employers listed, 8 of them are in the South, including LCMC Health, which owns the University Medical Center in New Orleans, where nurses recently unionized and are fighting for a fair contract. Their union, NNU, put out a statement saying that nurses were unsurprised by the designation. Hamilton Nolan interviewed some of those workers in his newsletter. Other Southern employers include Barnes Farming in North Carolina, where a worker died on the job, E-Green Transport in Georgia, where workers won over $500,000 in back wages through organizing and legal complaints, and Marjack Poultry in Mississippi, where 3 workers have died since 2020. The AFL-CIO put out another annual report. Both of these reports released to coincide with Workers' Memorial Day, which is on April 28th. The AFL-CIO's annual Death on the Job report. Some lowlights from the report: 5,283 workers died on the job in 2023, and an estimated 135,304 died from occupational disease.
Hey, 5 seconds, just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
That's 385 workers dying every day from hazardous working conditions. Worker safety organizations continue to be underfunded. In fiscal year 2024, OSHA had only one inspector for every 85,000 workers. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration did hold a Workers' Memorial Day ceremony, but it's difficult to listen to any of the officials' nice words when the administration is cutting OSHA and all of the things that could save more workers' lives. Most recently, the Miami Herald reported on how the administration is poised to scrap a proposed heat protection rule. Thousands of probationary workers filed complaints with the Office of Special Counsel, an office within the executive branch that is supposed to investigate prohibited personnel practices in the government. It is also supposed to be independent, and yet the head of the office was fired by Trump. Thousands of probationary workers who filed complaints with that office had their cases dismissed as lacking merit last week. The U.S. Department of Labor is threatening its staff with criminal penalties if they discuss cuts to the agency with the media. And the National Labor Relations Board is dropping its case against SpaceX. In strikes and bargaining updates, the IAMAW at ULA, representing 600 workers in California, Florida, and Alabama, will vote tomorrow on their tentative agreement that includes a 15% wage increase over the next 3 years. Mercedes in Alabama has unveiled a new policy to try to dissuade workers from unionizing. A team member advocate. You don't need a union so you can advocate for yourself. You need a person who works for the company who can advocate for you.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Members of the Texas State Employees Union, TSEU-CWA, rallied for a $10,000 pay increase for all workers and a cost of living adjustment for retirees. 1,000 workers at UNFI unionized with the Teamsters. In Florida, Georgia, and Illinois ratified a new 5-year contract that the union says includes significant wage increases and a pension. Starbucks union delegates voted by 81% to reject a proposal from the company because the raises were not high enough. The company was offering only 2% annually. In political and legislative updates, Alabama's teachers won't be getting a pay raise in the education budget this year, even though it is the largest ever, but they are getting some other significant job improvements, like paid parental leave, no health insurance increases, and a new workers' compensation program. Hospitality workers in Houston, Texas, unionized with Unite Here, Local 23, are calling for a $23 an hour hospitality minimum wage in the city. Maximilian Alvarez at the Real News Network spoke to Texas residents who live near a Bitcoin mine about the negative effects it is having on their neighborhood. The Economic Policy Institute released a report on South Carolina's economic boom, where it's true that job growth has outpaced the national average, but the job quality has lagged, with workers earning less than the median salary, even as they work overtime and in unsafe working conditions. New guidance from the National Institutes of Health say that researchers will have funds terminated if they boycott Israel. I kid you not, you can boycott, as a National Institute of Health researcher, any U.S. state in the country. You can boycott any other country in the world, but not Israel. Currently, probationary employees for the federal government can only be fired for performance, but Trump signed an executive order purporting to allow firing probationary employees for other reasons as well, because that's efficient, firing people not for performance. The Trump judge says that a 2-year-old U.S. citizen born in New Orleans may have been deported without due process. The American Postal Workers Union, APWU, has a fact sheet about postal privatization explaining why it'd be bad for workers and consumers. And in internal union affairs, the American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE, is laying off more than half of its staff as funds dry up from the elimination of paycheck dues deductions by Trump, with national staff going from 355 workers to 150. In better news internally to unions, Jennifer Abruzzo is rejoining the Communication Workers of America as a senior advisor to the international president. If we missed anything, let us know at tvlr.fm/contact. As always, there will be more information in the newsletter, which you can subscribe to at tvlr.fm.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.